because Thursday's lesson talks about the question of punishment. Yes, Daniel is miraculously saved. His faithfulness is rewarded. Evil punished, and God's honor and power vindicated. But what we see here is a mini example of what will happen to the universal scale. God's people delivered, evil punished, and the Lord vindicated before the cosmos. We're in the story of Daniel now. Let's see the story of Daniel. Were the evildoers punished?
Yes.
By who? Who punished them?
Darius. King.
Darius. They weren't punished by themselves. Darius inflicted punishment on them. Why? Why did he do it?
He knew that.
Because they deceived him and they betrayed their trust to him. They betrayed him. And they tricked him.
He knew their conspiracy.
And they were not on his side. So he inflicted punishment on them. That's right. Is this how evildoers will, at the end of time, are punished? Is this really an object lesson for that? That we betrayed God, and God will use his power to inflict punishment. Is that how it works in the end? What is the punishment for sin? The punishment for sin? Eternal death, right? Separation from God, eternal death. That's right. And from where does the punishment of eternal death come?
Within.
Is the devil right when he says, look, there isn't anything wrong with sin, guys. Sin actually doesn't harm you. There's just something wrong with God who will use his power to kill you for it. And if we could just get God some anger management classes where he'll restrain the use of his power to torture and kill us, we can live eternally in sin because sin doesn't harm. God harms you for it. That's penal substitution theology, guys. That's what is taught in the imperial lie. That God, in order to be just, must use his power to torture and kill. It's a fraud, it's a lie. Understanding God as the source of life, sin severs us. And when God fully lets us reap what we've chosen, a life separate from him, there is no life there. We die. That's how it works. Sin harms. And that's why it says, sin when full grown brings forth death, James 1:15. Or Galatians 6:8, the one who sows to the carnal nature, from that nature reaps destruction. Got a couple of interesting quotes from Ellen White we don't have time to read. When it talks about we're not to regard God as waiting to punish the sinner for a sin, the sinner brings the punishment upon himself. So forth and so on. And the sure result is ruin and death, just describing the same consequence. We separate ourselves from the source of life. God destroys no one. The sinner destroys himself by his own impenitence. 5 Testimony 1:20, and so forth. So, what about, though, the suffering? This is what I want to close on. The suffering that we experience from sin in this life, like sickness from addictions, or broken relationships from betrayal, or fear and guilt from exploitation. Are these punishments for sin?
Consequences.
Or, yes, thank you. Or are these the painful consequences of sin? Are these painful consequences of sin? Hear me now. Mercies and evidences of grace.
Yes.
To alert us that something is wrong before we die, before we permanently harden the heart, so that we have opportunity to reflect, reevaluate, reconsider, and turn our lives in the direction of life. So the suffering that comes from sin on this earth, folks, is often told by others that's God punishing for sin. It is not. It is grace and mercy seeking to alert people that they're on a course of devastation and destruction, and they're given the opportunity to turn their life around. It's an act of grace.